Hey, what's up team? Welcome back to the Combat Ready channel. I'm Craig, a former British Army soldier, and today we're going to be looking at a wicked video. It's been recommended a few times and I knew he has released it. I've not actually watched his channel before, but I was planning to watch it. A couple of people recommended it, so I thought I'd check it out. Garand on the United Kingdom's military rifle, the L85A1. So this is the original version, the A1 that was first released before it had modifications and reissued in the early 2000s, the L85A2, which the Army still use today with a few sort of infantry battalions and other regiments using the L85A3. So he's checking out the original version before the modifications of such of the cocking handle, the extractor bolt, and the hammer. So looking forward to see what he's got to say about this. He looks like he knows his stuff. I checked him out a little bit before, puts out some great content, got an amazing amount of followers, really good videos, so make sure you go and give him a follow. Looking into this, I'm really interested to see what he say. A lot of people hate the SA80, you know, UK's issued rifle. Effective range of out to 400 meters, 600 meters as a section. Magazine of 30 rounds. So let's see what he's got to say about it. Let's see what he does. It's be really interesting. Remember to comment with what your thoughts are and what you want to see next. Let's go.
Policing the world ain't easy. Somebody's gotta do it.
Things on toast.
Mate. That's what you get, blood. Boom. Splendid.
All accents on point so far. Just tried to cock it with his right hand. I don't know if he's just doing that for video footage, but you would reach over the top, do it with your left hand. You wouldn't do it with your right hand. You'd keep your right hand on the pistol grip, reach over to the top and cock it and hold working parts to the rear if need be. He most probably is just doing that for the video though.
At least our schools are the shooting gallery.
Getting some rounds down. I wonder how many he's got for the shoot. Nice. Hit some targets. Stoppage. Throw the mag on. Yeah, so just there where he just did then, where he just released the working parts forward with his right hand. You wouldn't do that. You'd use the bolt release catch on the inside of your left hand with your thumb, just push down and it releases the bolt catch, and then you would tap forward assist onto the cocking handle to make sure the working parts forward, because it does have an issue where the working parts wouldn't go forward, so you need to give that a tap, otherwise then you know the bolt wouldn't engage the round into the chamber correctly, so the weapon system wouldn't fire. You would still have a stoppage. See, he may be just doing this for the video, or he doesn't, obviously not being in the British Army, doesn't know just those little bits, but obviously he knows how to use a weapon system. So yeah, always done over the top of the left hand and tap forward assist every time you will the working parts to go forward. Stoppage there, see that? Typical stoppage within the SA80. An obstruction like that is very typical and something that happened quite a bit. Mag empty. Yeah, like that, you wouldn't do that. But obviously first time using a weapon.
Brits thought we were done with you after the Revolutionary War. Not even close. We have a very special occasion that we have been granted permission to do a lot of shooting on this rifle. We won't call it a review per se, because it's only about a days of experience and a lot of shooting, but we can give a lot of good opinions being seasoned shooters ourselves.
Fair enough.
Today on Garand, I hope you'll join us as we talk about the British military's service rifle, and probably the worst service rifle ever made.
You what, mate?
But before we get started, we
Possibly.
of course have to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel. The biggest sponsor of the channel is the Sonoran Desert Institute. If you're looking to get your start in gunsmithing, they're the people to go to. Can't thank them enough. Go and check them out. And of course, who can we not forget? Micah.
Primary Arms.
Yeah, great optics, great price. We love them. Everything else you could possibly want. Go and check them out. If you're looking to get better at shooting, dry fire is the way to go. Mantis will turn your gun into a dry fire machine. We are dry firing a lot, right, Micah?
Oh, it's so much fun. It makes it fun.
It does. And of course, today I have to give a big thank you to AAC. We are sponsored with them. They provide awesome ammo. We are shooting 77 grain today, and it is a performer no matter what. So we love it. But with all that being said, talk's cheap.
Decent sponsors.
Right here we have the L85A1. It should be noted that there is a upgraded version that is in use within the British military. But unfortunately for them, we're going to be using the original version. Because why, Micah?
It sucks.
Just because we owe you guys some favors from the War of 1812. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with our favorite thing. Me and Micah are going to be running drills with this piece of shit. And we're going to see who is better with this terrible, terrible rifle. Are you excited?
No.
All right, let's do it. We're going to be starting with the bill drill on semi. And it should be noted how off the optic is. That's because the optic requires special tools.
So yeah, so he's talking about burst there. Like I said, you have single shot burst and automatic, and you basically need a combi tool to adjust the sights to basically bring yourself on and zero, which he hasn't got for this weapon, so he's unable to do that. So he will be slightly off most probably, but shooting from the range he's shooting from, he should be totally fine.
Oh, neat.
It's a feature.
Does that count?
No.
226. I'll take it. Oh, God. So, I don't think the optic is on at all, but I was up there, 2 out, what is that, 0.1 per Charlie? So that's 246. I am Micah now.
I have never shot this gun, and I hate it.
Stand by. Uh, 194. Good job. And you were all in. So I guess I just suck with the SA-80. So you win.
I don't know if it feels good to be good with these kind of guns.
Okay, now we're gonna run it really, really fast. We'll try to give it about 6 rounds, but it will be about keeping it in the A zone.
Cool. Stand by.
I was way off.
I don't know if you were or the optic was.
The grouping wasn't bad, but
So-
I was certainly off on 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hey.
Have to say that grouping's actually not too bad, because what you normally see of an automatic, especially if you don't hold the weapon system tight, it will veer off up, because as your automatic, basically the recoil will push up. So he's got a sort of decent grouping. You haven't got the line that you're seeing, but like the sight is off slightly, and it's his first time shooting the weapon system, so every weapon's slightly different, but he's still got a bit of a group in there.
6
Are you using the irons or the scope?
irons. We're
He's
using the optic.
irons, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Should I just use the irons? Or
He's
the
using the
optic?
battle
use the
sight on
irons,
top
irons.
Okay.
of the
Bye.
Susac.
Ah, dude!
It's getting hot.
Don't touch that. Right where your thumb could go. Don't touch that.
Yeah, that's the same problem.
So what he's going on about there is the gas block. That obviously gets hot because that's where the gas is released. So he's just burnt his fingers. So obviously just hold the hand grip, the green bit. It's now black now when you've got the bigger derails. Hold the green bit, otherwise you are going to burn your hand.
The M4 though with the front sight post.
Fuck!
I don't know
Don't
where
touch
he's
the
just done
heat
it
shield
there.
under there either.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
Problem with the M16A1. Nice. Good job.
I think that
Decent.
I think the optic is way more on than the irons.
I think you're correct.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the battle sight at all. The optics so much better. The battle sight's there for a quick emergency, but not as accurate, nowhere near.
Oh, way better.
How'd it
You know
hold
what?
it well?
I guess when you're close enough, it doesn't matter. Those would be 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. Oh, 173.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually very
Yeah,
good.
not bad. Switch. Okay, shooter, are you ready?
Yeah.
Stand by. 128. I don't understand why you're so good with these shitty guns.
It's always the gun that doesn't matter, man. It's always these stupid, obscure piles.
It's all about a shooter. Nice.
Missed that first one.
These
Give it 1, 2
some
over.
good
3,
shots,
1,
these
6.
two. That's it.
I got lost in the optic. 3, 5.
Shooter ready. Stand by.
Dude, I got lost in the optic twice. So
Not bad. What are they? Most probably 30 meters away. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, the first time I watched their videos, a much better shot than majority of the army in standing with the SA-80, which is our main weapon. They are very good shots. It's been very interesting so far.
Okay, one more time. One more time.
Frustrated.
I hate this.
Yeah.
So once you insert a mag, you can reload several ways. You can either run the charging handle, or you can hit that little guy right there. It's the most awkward kind of reload I've ever done. So what we're gonna do right here.
So, what he's going on about there is there should be a bolt release catch on the left-hand side, and you just push down and that will release the working parts forward and you tap forward assist. Yes, what you could do is, like I said, we do everything with the left hand, get hold of the cocking handle, pull it back and allow the working parts to go forwards. But the way he's done it is not how you need to do it. So you can literally just, you'll be there, fit the magazine, and then bolt release catch, tap forward assist. It's actually not that bad. It's really easy to do.
Here is a 1 round 1, because that is the basis by which all guns are judged, right, Micah?
Yeah.
But this is the A1 and I never actually shot the
how
A1.
awkward the,
I had the A2.
controls are on the L85. Oh, gosh, that was... Give me one more. Woo-hoo! I think that's about as fast as I can do it on the L85, dude.
Pretty quick.
407.
You're doing great. Have you ever
All
seen?
right, I've never reloaded this gun.
Have you seen the videos of Firepower United when he does the fucked up like reloads on the M16?
Was that me right there?
Yeah.
Weird in the British Army as well, and always never get told to drop the magazine. So you would have to tilt the weapon over to the left, open up your ammo pouch, magazine off, magazine in, magazine out, magazine in, working parts forwards, tap forward assist, engage. That's how we get taught it in the British Army. Now a lot of people have dump pouches, so it'd be over to the right, magazine off, into the dump pouch, open up your magazine, pouch, magazine out, magazine on, bolt release catch forward, tap forward assist. So it can take a bit of time. A lot of people now have them on their chest plates, you know, your plate, body armor. You've got all these different types of magazine pouches now, so it is getting a lot easier. But in the British Army, on the ranges or in training, you'll never get told to drop your magazine on the floor. So it will take a little bit longer than what they're doing, but they are doing it very quick. It can be stiff. That magazine release catch can be very stiff. That is a big fault with this sometimes, especially in the cold. Can definitely be an issue.
Hey, you ever been kicked out of the military? You just got kicked out of the British military.
Done a lot of shooting with the L85A1. About 700 rounds at this point, which is a real treat.
Nice.
This isn't a rifle that you get to see every day in the United States, especially one that is in the configuration that we have right here.
Safety catches
we
off
do
there.
have to give credit where credit is due. So the both the AN94 and the SA80 that we have out here, the L85A1, are from Maxim's, from their collection. So a big thank you to them for allowing us to borrow them and put rounds on these very priceless weapons, because there aren't, as far as I know, a lot of these rifles that are currently in the US. So very base of them. Thank you very much, Maxim. And let's get into it. And now it's time to do our favorite portion, which is talking about it from a shooter's perspective, from a military perspective, more so than the engineering perspective. So my name is Mike. I retired out of Air Force Special Warfare and spent a good amount of time in the military. And now I just do a lot of shooting. And then, of course, we had Micah. Micah, what's the best way you describe yourself?
Nerd.
Nerd.
Gun enthusiast.
Gun enthusiast.
Camera
Counter-Strike.
guy.
Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike shoots better than me a lot of the times. So that's the cool thing about our channel. But getting into the L85A1, you have to realize that it was plagued with quite a few issues. I don't know if this was so much the problem of the design to some extent, as it was problems with the QC where it was made. And this is pretty unfortunate because I think that it could have come out of the gate doing a lot better. But you have to realize that when it came out, at the time it came out, the M16A2 had already been out for a year or two and had already been adopted by the United States military. So when we talk about like reliabilities of a service weapon and being, you know, well tuned with 5.56, that had already been accomplished, not just with the M16, but multiple others. So when the British came onto the scene with the L85A1 and it finally made it into soldiers' hands, it was certainly a disappointment in many ways. It's not all bad. I do have to note that when the L85A2 came out, which was basically an upgrade from HK, which was British owned, the weapon performed much better, and that's more than likely due to the fact that the tolerances were much better, the QC was much better, and essentially the entire rifle was gutted except for the receiver, and you had a much better rifle at that point. As far as my experience with this rifle, in practical terms, I spent a lot of time working with the British military. The guys know who they are out there. So I got to talk to a lot of people about the L85A2 mostly, not the A1. But you guys certainly have your opinions on it. In any case, let's go ahead, let's get into it. We're gonna start tip to butt, just like my Royal Marines love, and we're gonna...
So what I say then is this was actually initially first started getting designed. I think it was in like 1974 or something, in and around there, plus 2 years, maybe 1976. The first sort of prototypes were first getting designed, and then it wasn't released and issued until 87. So it's actually back in the 70s when it was first getting designed and the prototypes were first being looked at. So that's how old the actual A1 actually was. And I think that's a major issue when it comes to some weapon systems sometime, or bits of kit and equipment, vehicles. They're in design for so long, by the time they get released, they're just out of date. So that's definitely an issue there.
We're going to start with the flash hider right here. The flash hider is very much so like the M16A1, which was a full spectrum birdcage flash hider, which means there's nothing on the M16A2. If you take a look at this flash hider, you can see that it has, it's blocked off for the ports at the bottom. That way you don't kick up as much dirt when you're firing. That's not so much the case with the L85A1. This isn't a bad design per se, it's just a design choice. It does a good job at flash suppression. It is longer than the typical A2 birdcage flash hider and performs very well in my opinion. When it comes to the L85 as a whole weapon, we do of course have a bullpup. What this means is that we're able to get more barrel length despite it being a shorter weapon. So both the M16 and the L85 have the same barrel length, but as you can see, the L85 is quite a bit shorter than the M16 A2 right here. So it's quite impressive. Why this is important is the M4 is a very similar size to the L85, but the fragmentation range of 5.56 out of the M4 is much shorter than what you get out of the L85. Now there are, of course, problems with having a bullpup. The action being closer to your ear means that it's louder at the shooter's ear. Some ergonomic problems and weight distribution problems, especially during full auto fire. But there's always a trade-off, and the British decided that they really wanted to have a bullpup rifle. So moving from the barrel, it is a very, from what I've seen, accurate rifle. We weren't able to test that as well, and that came down to a problem with we didn't have the correct tools in order to properly zero this older optic. That's not a dig against the rifle or the optic, it's just those tools are somewhere in the United Kingdom, God knows where. But if you have them, send them to us.
Yeah, I might have to send him. I think I've got quite a few hidden away. They're just combi tools. They come with the cleaning kit. There's so many of them out there in service and not. It's just hundreds of thousands of them. They're really easy to get your hands on. So it'd be good to get one out to him so you can actually play around with this properly. Because I actually feel that this can be a very accurate weapon system. I've seen people and myself hit some amazing shots from distance and get a very, very tight grouping with this weapon system. It is very accurate, and it is actually a decent shot when you put the marksmanship principles in and it's zeroed correctly. If it's not zeroed correctly though, you will have to aim off a lot. So that having the combi tool would have massively helped him and give his opinion a little bit more on the accuracy.
From talking to soldiers who served in the British military, they've noted the weapon is accurate, and from everything that I've heard, it's slightly less accurate than the AR-15, anywhere from 1.5 to 2 MOA from the factory, and then from there, of course, you have your about 4 MOA before it's retired out of service with barrels changed, etc., etc. So good on the barrel. Moving back to the handguard, this is where a lot of problems with the L85A1 kind of came into play. The plastic that they use had a problem with the insect repellent that was used in the British military. So it ended up melting from that insect repellent. So that's super unfortunate, of course, for the composition of the plastic that they use, the composite material. But another problem was that this kind of top plate right here, it's really easy for this to come loose. So a lot of guys ended up zip tying it down. You can see why. That would definitely be frustrating to have that happen in the field. So that's definitely something that frustrated me as I was shooting, because if it caught on gear as I was moving, switching positions, that ended up catching. And that's kind of a, what's the best way to say it? It's kind of a theme that you're going to see throughout the L85A1, that there's these little things that just kind of irk you about the rifle as you're kind of working it, as you're shooting it, as you're going through it.
Very true. Even with the A2, if you've got an older weapon, that top cover, it was just so loose. It would just constantly come undone, and it can be very, very annoying. So it was something common, and it still ran until the new Piccadilly rails, the new sort of hand covers come into place. So yeah, it was a major issue.
So we do have a sling mount point right there. No issues there, actually. It's a
Hang on, so I just want to go back to see if that bolt release catch is there.
As you're kind of working it, as you're shooting it, as you're going through it. So we do have a sling.
So there, so you'll see there, magazine release catch. And then you've got there, it's like a little square just below the sort of cheek plate where there's a little bolt release catch there. And that's how, on the back of the weapon system, on the left-hand side, on the inside, is how you would release the working parts forward. But obviously he didn't know this. He's never used the weapon system before. But that is, flip that switch down, that bolt release catch down, and that would allow the working parts to go forward. So when you're putting the magazine on, it's literally magazine on, down, and allow the working parts to go forward, and it'd make it a lot easier for him to do that. But you can just see that there.
Mount point right there. No issues there, actually. It's a great mounting point, much like the M4. Moving back, I do have to say, though, my favorite thing about the L85A1 is how cool it looks. It, like, I remember seeing this in like Call of Duty back in the day, and like the heat guard, the in the stamped sheet metal, these holes. It just looks cool as hell. I think it's one of the cooler looking bullpups out there. Do you agree with me, Micah?
No.
Micah just hates this rifle, so we're gonna pretend he doesn't exist. Now, moving back from there, because we have a bullpup, we're gonna be slightly out of order, but we do have the fire control group. Now, when it comes to bullpups, something that a bullpup does suffer from is a worse trigger compared to a more conventional weapon. That comes down to the fact that on a conventional weapon like an AR-15, there's not a whole lot of engagement that has to be released in order to release the hammer. On a bullpup, because the bolt is all the way back here, that hammer has to be all the way back there. That means this trigger has to have a bar that's traveling all the way back. Longer bar just means you're gonna have to exert more force. The bullpup triggers are typically more gritty, longer, they just feel worse. And people say a trigger doesn't matter. I highly disagree with that. I think a good trigger is a godsend for a shooter. People will probably disagree with me, but as long as I've been shooting and as many rounds as I've shot, I found that the more I shoot, the more I appreciate a good trigger. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and let's try the trigger out right here. Okay, going into it, we have about 3 millimeters of play. Pushing into it, about 6 pound pull. Let's feel that reset. Coming forward about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 millimeters. That's a long reset on that guy. From the reset, good let off, about 4 pounds. Not a terrible bullpup trigger. There are, of course, better ones out there. I think the Devore has an exceptional trigger for a military rifle that is a bullpup, but this is certainly miles better than the Steyr, which is still to date the worst trigger on a bullpup I've ever felt. So not bad for my British military guys. The safety is right here, right above the trigger. So press N for safety. So when you're holding this weapon, this is a right-handed weapon. If you need to disengage that safety, it's with the trigger finger, and then you're on your trigger. Being an AR-15 guy, of course, I love being able to kind of have my trigger ready and prepped, and being able to flick off the safety with my thumb on the opposite side. So I don't like using my trigger finger to disengage the safety. I do understand that for a military force, it is a better safety protocol and procedure, but I'm not going to specifically dock the rifle for that. That's certainly just a manual of arms thing. That's just me personally as a shooter, what I don't like about it. But the grip angle is fine. Moving back into the action, the one thing I do have to say about the L85A1 is that I was really surprised at how smooth the bolt rides inside the rifle. I hope you can kind of see that or feel that. It's an exceptionally smooth rifle, and you really have to give it.
I have to agree. Like whenever you were cocking the weapon, you know, on the ranges or ops, whatever it was, as long as it was well oiled and well looked after, it cocked really well. I found you just had to tap forward assist. It moved back really smoothly and nicely. So I do have to agree with him there.
Give it to them for how good that feels. A lot of rifles, when you cycle them, when you rack them, you can feel a lot of grit, like Styro and stuff. It doesn't feel good to cycle. The L85 does. When it comes to its recoil, it's very much so Styro-like. It's not incredible. And that's due to the fact that so much of your weight is kind of back that your muzzle has more of a tendency to rise. I understand this is, you know, there's always pluses and minuses to bullpups. I don't prefer it. I don't like the weight all the way back there. But, so when you fire, it definitely does jump a little bit more than an AR-15. That being said, if that's a trade-off that you're okay with, then it's not that big of a deal. When it comes to select fire on this guy, I do find that it's not terrible, obviously, but it certainly has more recoil than many other 5.56 weapons out there. You can really feel that bolt kind of chattering as you're on auto on this guy. Not my favorite thing. Semi-auto is acceptable. So the best way I could describe it is it's a bullpup. It's a little bit clunky when you're kind of firing it in semi and in auto. It's not the best experience, although you do have a very compact rifle. Now, moving back from there, we do have the magazine release. This is a big pet peeve of mine right here. So the magazine release is really not that protected at all. And what can happen is it can push up against your gear, up against magazines, and release. And this is a big complaint from the British military folks. Of course, with the advent of the L85A1, this is no longer an issue. So the magazine release is just weird. Kind of the whole manual of arms when it comes to reloading is a little bit weird. I understand kind of what they're doing. The idea being that you have your, let me get that locked in there. You have your bolt release right here, and I don't think I can get it.
So that's actually not, that just allows you to hold the working parts to the rear. The bolt release catch is actually on the inside, as spoken about before.
Without a bullet in there. But the idea being that, you know, you're going to rip that mag out, you put your mag in, and then either you're going to reach up and hit that, or reach back and hit that charging handle, or reach over, or press it up, whatever have you. It's just kind of odd. On a lot of bullpups, you usually end up having the bolt release somewhere back here, because that way, when you get that mag in...
There. See there? That's what he's missing pressing. So obviously no one has shown him where the bolt release catch. Little small square black catch there is literally what he needs to press. So as he's put the magazine on, he can then allow the working parts to go forward.
You can just hit that bolt release and get moving. I think that's a better position after having run many bullpups. I understand that the L85A1 is an older design, but that being said, we're still going to dock it. It's just a very odd manual of arms when it comes to the L85A1. From the magazine going back, we do have the selector switch. This isn't uncommon to have a separate safety and selector. A lot of my AR-15 guys are so used to safe fire auto, but on many rifles, it's safe fire up by the trigger group, and then you select the firing position at some other location. So right here, we have our
That is one
fire.
thing you just saw there. He found that very stiff to move. That can actually happen. It can become quite stiff at times, depending on what weapon you've got, how old it is.
And then up there we have our semi. I think it's intuitive. I do like the location. It's certainly not something you're going to be changing that quickly, but I really don't have a whole lot of issue here. I do have issue with the cheek pad right here. It's very well known that these crack very easily, and in fact, while we're shooting, it did crack. I do understand that this is an older rifle, and you know, plastic has a finite life. But that being said, it was known to crack in many different environments. Same thing goes for the buttstock as well. Again, all these upgrades that were done by HK ended up fixing this, but I'm going to take the moment to really kind of go hard on the rifle, that when it kind of entered service, it could have avoided a lot of this with a little bit of QC and a little bit more on the soldier trial side to ensure that this didn't happen. If we're not being honest about these things, then, you know, history is going to repeat itself. But moving back from there, from the entire rifle, we do have the optic. I understand that the optic is kind of a pain in the ass nowadays, but back then it was definitely very cool and very forward thinking. It is very Elcan-like. In fact, I believe it was a predecessor to the Elcan. And the reticle is very thick. That being said, that was true of many reticles back then. I think it was a good thing overall, especially compared to many of the other service rifles.
Yeah, I thought Susat was fine.
At the time, you have iron sights on the top.
4 times magnification.
The eye relief is not great on this optic. It's the Susat, S-U-S-A-T. Let me see right here. Yeah, Susat, S-U-S-A-T, Sight Unit Small Arms Trilux is what that stands for. It's not great, but for the time, good. Overall, the L85A1, definitely not my favorite shooting experience, definitely not my favorite rifle. I'm definitely not going to say the worst service rifle. I was just being dramatic there at the beginning. But a service rifle that could have avoided a lot of the problems by simply putting this rifle through better trials. I think this is a weapon that you can certainly get good with. It can be very effective and deadly. The earlier teething issues weren't due to the design so much as they were due to just poor QC. So overall, a good service rifle, a good military rifle, especially after the upgrades from HK, and really don't have a whole lot of problems with it, other than I have to give the British guys a hard time about it, because you guys had kind of a rough go at the very beginning there. But here's the thing, guys. If you're training with this rifle, you're going to be good with it. You're going to get deadly with it. I've seen, you know, tons of different British military guys just absolutely crush these rifles. So get out there, train, get hands-on time with these types of rifles, and you're absolutely going to do a great job, and you're going to rock. Guys, thank you so much for hanging with us. We've got to review a lot of different cool, interesting rifles, and the SA-80, the L85A1 is definitely one of those. Thank you for tuning in, and we got nothing else for you guys.
Pretty decent review, or opinion, as he says. Like he said, he can't really give a review on it because he hasn't had it long enough, hasn't had actual sort of training on it. So, you know, cocking the weapon, holding the working parts to the rear, the bolt release catch, not being able to obviously zero the weapon because he didn't have the combi tool to go with the Susat. So it wasn't as accurate, because it is a really accurate weapon system. At the beginning, typical, yeah, more than likely, yeah, he is going to say it's the worst service rifle. But he did sort of like it in the end, and he has got the A1 and not the A2, A3 that are in service now. Obviously, they do have their faults, but it is a pretty decent weapon system. It is highly accurate, I feel, if you put the marksmanship principles to test properly and you zero it correctly, you know, holding the weapon system all correctly and stuff like that. Susat was very good. I did enjoy it. Sometimes you did get the ACOG and Elder sight. I can't remember what the new sight was that come in afterwards, but we did receive a new sight that were issued to some sort of units. And then people used to get the Piccadilly rails towards the end and start attaching LLMs towards the end of my career. Magazine can be a bit of a pain at times if you didn't tap forward assist. That could cause stoppages quite regularly as well. Even with the A2, having the new cocking handle on the A2 was a lot better. He's obviously got the old cocking handle there, so it's a shame he didn't have it for longer so he could give a proper review of thingy. But I think his video was brilliant, his opinions were great, and he really knows his stuff, and they've got some good decent amount of rounds down. Let us know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you in the next video. Remember to like, subscribe, turn notifications bell on. See you soon.